What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. I am on ground in New York on vacation, the city that never sleeps, but this one is sleepy. And I brought two of the best Tuesday tech guests I can bring together, and I think you're going to love it. We've got Chris Johnson, Mr. Action Jackson Chris Johnson, out of the military into tech. Then we got Miss Tamika. Join in tech whenever you feel like in your 40s and 50s. Miss Tamika's going to be in here giving y'all the value. Now, in the comment section, go ahead and put your questions in because my question today is, can we get into tech in the next 60 days? What we got to do? Introduce yourself, Miss Tamika, to the audience, and then Chris after that.
All right, Tamika Reed, founder of Women in Linux. I've been doing Linux administration, cloud security, system engineering, cloud migrations, everything on and off now for 20 years. Uh, the Women in Linux, we meet every Wednesday to talk about basically what is Linux, how to get in tech, how to get certified, and then go vertical from there.
Mr. Chris, hit us up.
Oh, okay. My name is Mr. Chris Johnson. As you know,
Mhm.
it's a pleasure to rejoin your audience. I started off in the military. I just started off in my dorm room, interested in technology. I was initially going to go study physical therapy, but I just got interested in technology due to a counselor, so basically a career coach. And I studied in my dorm room, self-studied, became a network administrator, became a engineer. I've been a senior engineer since I left the military over 20 years ago. And I've been thriving and succeeding at the highest level of IT in the designation of a network engineer. And at this point, what I'm doing is I'm an IT career coach, and I teach people how to take whatever skills that they have and translate them into the IT industry by specializing in a skill, such as a skill like Linux, as Tamika is referring to. And that's my job, just show you how to get into IT, how to endure the journey, how to navigate IT, and how to thrive in IT.
So, just to be clear, Miss Tamika, you hopped into tech later in life, correct?
Yeah, I partied in Atlanta. I'm from Atlanta, so I was doing what we do in the 99 and the 2000s and party, right? And I graduated from college in 2007. So uh, but I had a full-time job before I graduated. So to get into tech, it's just a matter of persistence and then understanding where tech is moving to in terms of you basically follow the money,
Hmm.
right? See where's DevSecOps, you see where's IoT devices and edge computing. You see where, I mean, we put it like this. We had a conversation the other night about blockchain and Linux. Blockchain came out in 1991 and Linux came out in 1991. They're still here. Blockchain is just now really taking off,
Hmm.
as you see, but Linux has been around since then. So, it's never too late to get into tech. Is really my main point. It's just a matter of how do you take the skills that you have acquired over time or the skills that you want to gain and then put that effort towards tech. But I always call it skill stacking. What
Hmm.
skill you had in 1991 or 2000, you got to have some more skills on top of that in order to, thrive, in order to stay relevant.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And so today, just to give you guys a little background, I was at a Chinese restaurant and the owner seemed a little quiet at first. And then I was just like, oh, yeah. She's like, where are you coming from? I'm like, Austin, Texas. Oh, my son, he's got a computer science, bachelor degree. Right. And I said, okay. He's like, and he's going to Austin because his cousin has an associate's and got a job paying $80,000 a year. Now, first thing I thought is his cousin's probably in help desk. Just because we've talked about it several times here,
Right.
how people get stuck in help desk.
Yep.
So if somebody says, hey, my son got a bachelor degree in computer science, and honestly, I didn't want to tell her that doesn't matter.
Right.
But what could that person do, right? What could that person do in the next 60 days to kind of get themselves prepared, Miss
if
Tamika?
if they have a degree in computer science, there's a few things they can do. If they're very good at data structures and understand algorithms and so forth, they can go interview at Google. That's what they send you over the first the first day. Is like, hey, do you understand data structures, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other part is if you're going to be relevant in any job right now that's probably more of a startup or what have you is understanding cloud technology. So in other words, understanding cloud native and understanding, and when I say cloud native, there is a whole foundation built around cloud native, but it's also understanding what cloud technologies are. So you can go down the rabbit hole of AWS, GCP, Google, Oracle, whatever. I mean, we just saw where Google is put has a push for 40 million people to get certified on cloud technologies. That's 40 million people, right? So if they're pushing out 40 million people, Amazon is looking for 750,000 people. Who's going to get employed? The ones that are trying, the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are putting forth the effort, and the ones that may end up coming out of college and actually can be trained on cloud technologies. Not everybody that comes out of college gets that cloud hands on from training from out of college sometimes.
Now you said they hiring how many people?
Google has an initiative that came out 2 weeks ago to train 40 million people on cloud technologies.
40 million people. Did y'all hear
40,
that in the chat?
40 million.
Y'all need y'all to put 40 million in the chat. Come on now. 40 million people?
40
Like
million people.
they hiring a whole daggone state. What's going on? 40
Right.
million
Yeah.
people in the chat.
Yeah, that's 40 million. And then Amazon has their 750,000. Shopify is looking for 3,000 data scientist people. Then I hadn't even gotten into who's looking for AI and machine learning, because that's the next one. That's a whole nother talk when we're talking about that. And then the next big thing that's coming on the horizon right now is hardware. We already saw that Apple came out with their M1 devices, so embedded Linux, understanding hardware. Jack Dorsey is looking to create his own hardware to mine Bitcoin. So he's looking for hardware engineers. They're also looking for hardware engineers for 5G. So as the more we go further and further up the stack, the lower level jobs, or I should say the back end jobs, are stacking up as well too. The
Mhm.
faster we go, is the more hardware we need to move quicker. And in some cases it's software, but for the most part, the data centers aren't going anywhere, they're just getting faster. And the network engineers, just just to put it out there, they're needed too.
Okay, okay. So thank y'all for dropping that 40 million in the chat. Okay, now Chris, you hear that? I told you the lady said my son's got computer science, and I didn't want to hurt her feelings because I didn't know for certain. And plus, I was on my second Mai Tai. What would you? The reason I bring you on the show is because you have a course that shows people all the different ways, basically do an assessment of what even job you might fit for you, right? Because that's the most important
Yes.
part is don't just hop and say, "Oh, I need cybersecurity." That might not be the fit for you. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So what perspective I'll come from is the perspective of the individual.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I come from the perspective of the individual is because everyone is unique. And so, as an IT career coach, what I like to do is evaluate, like Tamika was saying, where did you come from? What do you bring to the table? There's people who get discouraged because they didn't start in IT like I did. I started when I was a teenager. So,
Mm-hmm.
this is easy for me. But it doesn't really matter whether I start at 19 or whether I started at 40 or at 50. It really doesn't matter. What did you do previously? And how can we take that and add that to what is in demand in the IT industry so that we can position you not only with the proper skill set that would benefit or complement the gifts that you already have, but also look to see what industry that you may be a good fit in, because technology is pervasive, meaning that technology is in every industry. So if you're familiar with an industry already, even if somebody was a janitor and they may think to themselves, oh, I'm just a janitor, you may go into software engineering and develop some software for janitors. You may end up working for people who work in chemicals or chemical supplies because you're familiar with this stuff. You know the combinations, you know the brands, and you be able to fit right in that industry. So where I would come from is what what industry did you come from previously? What are some of your interests? What are some of your passions? And what I want to do is I'd like to match those goals, those passions, and help people develop a vision. Because the people that I deal with and discuss, career objectives with, they usually don't know where they're going. They already have
Hmm.
the discipline and the drive, but they just know how to get there. They see IT, they see people succeeding, and they just want to know, well, how do I succeed in IT? Because there's a plethora of opportunities for me, but where do I fit in?
Hmm.
So IT, I like to describe it like this. IT is the bus, and my job as a bus driver or someone assisting you on your journey is to make sure you're in the right seat. Okay. So cloud computing, like Tamika was saying, may not be it. Maybe you're interested in AWS. It depends on your background, and it also depends on education. Like you said, someone with a computer science, I would already imagine they already are familiar with computer languages. So, as far as, are you a technical person or a non-technical person? If you went for a computer science degree, you're a technical person, unless you're, 15, 20 years and you want to sit down and manage people. But
Hmm.
I would look at it from that perspective to say computer science, you're looking more at software engineering, software development, web development, something where you're leveraging all those computer languages that you learned, so that you could benefit yourself to, gain a profit from your investment, and also benefit the company, but make it a win-win. Not just look for what IT can give you, but look to what you can bring to IT. And that's why I like evaluating skill sets, backgrounds, education, goals, and passions, and line that up and help people to develop a vision for how
For
to get
sure.
there.
All right, we want to welcome Big Brian from North Carolina, Women in Linux, Florida, Essence from North, what is that, Virginia, Oklahoma, Los Angeles, Kansas City, Missouri. P. Johnson had a question. He said, "Everyone hope you're all good. Would you recommend Google Tech courses? All these companies are offering stuff. IBM, Microsoft. Is this a real thing? Or are they just out here playing with us?"
It depends on what you're going after. Like if you are looking to do uh, Google Suite and then want to, be an administrator for Google Suite, you can for a small office, back office. But if you want to be on the cutting edge, their cloud technologies are more on the cutting edge, and then there are specialties within those cloud technologies.
Hmm.
Then those some of those specialties can come down to data science or databases or storage itself. So I recommend anywhere you can go sign up and learn something that's free and have a vision of where you're going with that, by connecting with people who are on LinkedIn, checking out Google Next, looking and talking to people on Twitter, and to find out if that's something you want to do. And then I always do this. I always go online and look at Indeed or any of the hiring locations, and just type in, that particular certification to see who's requesting that or who's looking for that, to give you an idea of what companies are using GCP and who's using that technology. So that gives you at least an idea of where you can go.
Thoughts on that, Chris?
My thoughts are exactly what Tamika was saying, in that, instead of focusing on being tech centric, also focus on what's in demand, because you can
Hmm.
be, you know, very well equipped, but you may be well equipped on old mainframes, and nobody's checking for you right now. You understand that you're going to be sitting on the bench, right? So you want to make
Sorry.
sure you have some skills that you're able to leverage, and that you can see when you look at the industries, there's going to be a long-term demand for it. People will toss up terms in technology and they're viable, but in a sense it's just like corporate speak or buzzwords. It's good that you know all these terms, but you still don't know if you would be a good fit for that, because it would be terrible for you to do what I did, which was I spent a year and a half studying cybersecurity and then found out I didn't need it. Now that whole year
Ooh.
and a half, I was waking up at like 4:30 in the morning, studying from, six, well, I was like 6:30 till 8:30 or whatever. And I didn't even need to use it. Now, it was a good general skill to have. It helped me to troubleshoot, but I was actually studying to get, a certification. So I don't want anyone to get stuck in a rut where they see something and they chase it, which is why I always tell people to follow vision, because vision will allow you to stick to a plan so that you can go towards something that's a skill set that's in demand, that you're passionate about, that you know is going to be viable in the industry. I say within at least 10 years. 5 years where you know it's going to be strong, and another 5 years where you can retool yourself, re-educate yourself, and re-equip yourself so that you remain viable in IT for the long term, like 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah, and I'll add to that from a different perspective in terms of, um, honestly, I think every year, maybe every year and a half, you should be stacking on a new skill. Because the way things are moving right now, uh, things are moving fast, so you can be in and out, you can specialize. The other thing too is, and this is why we have tech stocks and jobs on Saturdays, is because I'm always looking at what new companies are coming out and what are they grounding and basing their technologies on, and also who are they partnering with. And the reason for that is follow the money. So if I'm looking at idea like Tesla, and Tesla is doing Starlink and they're going to space, and they're also doing autonomous cars, I'm looking at them for various technologies when we're talking about that. When you peel back the onion, autonomous cars, you're looking at hardware engineering, you're looking at electrical engineering, you're looking at programming, you're looking at AI, you're looking at machine learning, you're looking at cybersecurity. And when I say cybersecurity, I mean security of the car, security of the actual code. When we're looking at Starlink, we're looking at how do those actual satellites communicate with each other? Are they secure when they communicate? So I just named off probably like 10 different 10 different technologies and 10 different areas of study. But again, it's peeling back the onion so you know where the industry is going. Again, stack your skills and create longevity for at least 5 to 10 years, if not longer. I've been doing Linux administration or in the world of Linux for 20 years, and it's still growing and it hasn't stopped. So just to give you an idea, same thing with Windows, right? That operating system's been around forever, and that company has been around forever, and they're still growing. So understand where they're putting their money at and where people are going with the technology is what I would look at as well.
I'm gonna give y'all a little insight. I'm not gonna say my friend's name, but they worked for IBM the past 15 years. And IBM's doing a split, and then they got them working on like Microsoft Outlook, and she like, what is this crap?
Mhm. Well, IBM is big on quantum computing, right?
Oh.
So they have a whole quantum computing division. They launched the quantum computing cloud back 5 years ago, and so they're also looking for cybersecurity and DevSecOps around quantum computing. They're predicting, like, I've been watching with TechCrunch and so forth. It's been 721 million invested into quantum computing from VCs. IONQ just went public, so there's been a big push. Or like, where's quantum computing fit with cryptocurrency and mining Bitcoin? So there's a big push
but
for
but I mean,
investment
about it.
in that
How often do you hear about Microsoft Outlook though?
all the time.
Nah, I mean regular every day.
All the
People be
time.
like Yahoo and Gmail. What you talking about Microsoft Outlook?
No, no, the big
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying
Outside the work office.
I'm
Outside
just
the
saying
work
from the
office.
big companies perspective.
Chris laughing. He know what I'm talking about.
Most I'm being honest, from let's put it like this, from a federal government business
Right.
not business administration, but veteran affairs. It's huge on
It is, but she
Microsoft.
was saying how like they were on this other system and it was an old system anyway. And then they like, all right, everybody, Microsoft Outlook. And she like,
Yeah,
what
I
is
mean it's
this shit?
still there. I get it, but it's just that it's
She's
just
like,
that
how can I make
simple to them.
attachments? This is terrible.
Oh yeah, some people don't know how to make attachments. They don't know how to write emails. They don't know how to do a spell check in it. I mean, you know, hey,
I just thought it was funny because Chris was laughing. He know what I'm talking about. They got that old ass email system. Ain't nobody want that. Nobody wants that. Like when you get out the military, first thing you do is like get rid of the Outlook. Okay. Chris, when you got out the military, did you use Outlook anymore after that?
Hotmail.
There
I
you
went
go.
to
Exactly. You were like, get that
Hotmail.
s out of here.
Mid
Cinnamon sugar.
Gmail.
Exactly.
I use
Like,
both. I use
listen,
both. I
I have
use
an out for.
Hotmail and Outlook.
I got a Microsoft Outlook, and I'm like, I hate it every day. When I even just log into it, I'm like, what is this mess? Okay. I'm on section 2 of Google Data Analytics course. Thank you for the motivation to begin, y'all. Thank
Y-
you.
You're welcome.
Okay, a lot of people put um wow, Chris, this is like being back in the military where every other word is an acronym.
Mm, welcome, welcome to Alphabet Soup.
Welcome. Data mining, understanding blockchain.
Yep.
Okay. I got an interview with Incerno Thursday. It's help desk, but I got to start somewhere. Now, Filthy Frank, let me apologize. I'm not making fun of help desk. Get yourself in the door. But Chris, talk to people why they don't want to be stuck in help desk forever. And I'll be back. I'm gonna be right back.
Chris, you frozen.
No, I'm right here. But I'd like to add something to like being at in help desk. The when I talk about being in help desk or being stuck in help desk, I'm mostly referring to lacking vision to get out of help desk. Because there's a lot of people who are in help desk and they're talking, and when senior engineers like myself go into data center, they'll ask us, well, how do we get out? And then like 3 years later they're still there, so they didn't activate any knowledge or information from an experienced professional, and they just sit there, but yet they salt and pepper me with questions. And so it I mean, if you're a senior engineer, sometimes we come in there finishing a maintenance window, it's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, yeah, I don't have time to sit for 30 minutes with you, especially if I'm going to invest time and you didn't even use the information before. So when I talk about help desk, I'm actually cheering for you for starting, but I want you to continue your progress to actually unleash your full potential.
Yeah, I would add if you're at the help desk and you're working for a company that has uh free training or something like that, I would take advantage of the free training. I will also take advantage of the senior engineers that are in the department by doing a interview with them or a one-on-one with them so that you can understand like what's the next level up, what opportunities are available to you. Go interview other departments to find out what they're doing. A good example of this would be Rackspace. Rackspace has an email department. They have a Kubernetes department. They have several data centers. So you're not just looking at being just at the help desk. You can move around within that particular company in order to acquire skills and so forth. And they also give a lot of free training, certifications as well too. So when you're looking at these particular companies, don't look at them as just the help desk. Look at what other opportunities do they have, and if they don't have any opportunities other than just you being at the help desk, you need to be making your way either A out of that company or B acquiring some skills in order so you can make that next move in your on your journey. The last thing you want to do is move from one help desk position from one company into another company because you're just moving lateral. You want to move forward. At least I would think you would want to. And I
Yeah.
think, go ahead.
Oh, so I was just going to say that you mentioned building key relationships and meaningful relationships,
Mm,
and actually having a plan to get out of that situation instead of sitting there stuck in a rut where you have all these goals, but you don't know how to get there. And the missing piece is you're not like Tamika was saying, you're not interviewing people. You're not looking to see what is out there, because the last thing I mean, I know this sounds like, okay, I'm in IT, I want to get paid. Okay, I've been in places I was getting paid, but my
Mhm.
skills were becoming stale. I had to get out of that place real quick. I don't care if I got a demotion and pay, because see, my skills pay the bills. And if someone is not utilizing me and they're paying me, I don't care if they're paying me $100,000 a year. Eventually, my skills are going to become outdated if they're not giving me projects. So don't look at IT in terms of money. Look at IT in terms of building up skills and having a plan to level up. And then continuing that progression, like Tamika was saying, looking at the industry, understanding what's happening in the industry so you can be in the mix. If you're
Mm,
not in the mix, you're out the mix. I know it
right,
sounds really simple, but you got to figure out, you can't just go to work, go home, go to work, go home. I mean, even if you're studying a certification, because you're going to work, you're going home, you're studying a certification, but you're not keeping your pulse on what the industry is doing. You're going to miss something. You got to be a whole IT professional. You got to be a whole professional. Someone that's not only concerned about getting paid, but somebody who's concerned about getting paid in the future.
right. And the other part to that is when we're looking at how we stack our skills, right? Every what Black Friday, there's a special on somebody's cloud academy, a cloud guru, Pluralsight, Coursera that runs a special on classes. So get those classes. There's a ton of free stuff out there. If you miss it, that's okay. You can still wait to Black Friday to get those. And then there's another thing that I think a lot of people don't really sign up for, or they just let it go to their junk mail, is newsletters. What you find in those newsletters are several key things. First, somebody's taking the time to write the information and then kind of more or less give you a summary of it, but they're also giving it to you from their point of view. And then also, you have to look at it, it's another a point of contact to reach out to, right? So take on what they're doing, go read their GitHub repo, look and see what they're doing, look at them on Twitter, look at them on LinkedIn. And then from that, you can then start a friendship or some type of way to talk to someone. And then you can then say, okay, well, I'm gonna follow this person on Twitter. They seem to have their hands on the pulse of what's going on. And then you'll start seeing things for yourself that interest you, and you'll start reporting stuff to other people, right? So it's always about a give and take and pay it forward when we're talking about how do you keep your hand on the pulse with what's going on. And the last but not least, make sure you attend conferences. There's so many virtual conferences. KubeCon just left. Google Cloud Next just had theirs. Bitcoin 21 for Blacks in Technology, they just had their conference. Cybersecurity conferences are coming up. So if you're not taking advantage of some of these conferences for not just information but relationships, then you're missing out, because that's really where you start to build. That's where you really get a chance to see where companies are actually showcasing what they're going to do next. Like we just saw Apple with their launch of everything that they have going on. We heard about Netflix and their earnings today, and how what was that game? Well, not the game, the show. What was the show? Oh God, it made them $900 million from
Whoa.
that show. So
Sounds like you're talking about Squid Games. I
Squid
leave
Game.
I leave y'all on the show for 2 minutes. I come back and y'all talking about Squid Games. What
Well,
happened?
but I'm talking about the amount of
Oh,
money
okay,
that
okay.
that Netflix was able to make from Squid Game, and they're also now going into creating a game, right?
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay, okay, okay.
right.
I was just
So
like, what is happening?
yeah, so now we're talking about content creation. Which is another job,
Hmm.
curating content, writing stories. Those are all still jobs, even for a company like Netflix, or even for a company like Google.
Hmm.
Curating content and being, it's really called a developer's advocate is what it
Hmm.
is. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about being able to see what's going on in the industry. How can I apply that to what I'm doing here? Here's our next thing that we're going to use, and then showcase that to other people and other companies. There's a huge market for it.
So again, Filthy Frank Black, congratulations. If you get the job, take it. Get in there. But I'm pretty sure what they said while I was gone, don't stay there too long. Get the moving on. Shake the dust off your feet. Get the experience and keep it moving. Someone said I just had a great interview for tech sales position today. I heard that people talk about sales and tech that often. Is it a viable path? I will have Black Heights on. He made $500,000 in tech sales. He'll be on, I think, next week. But yes, it's very popular. You guys, let me know your thoughts on that one.
So tech sales in terms of sales, sales engineering, and then pre-sales. Uh, Pre-sales, we just had Red Hat just did a launch. His name is Roderick Heron. They just did a launch on trying to get more people into pre-sales, from a perspective of like, hey, we're not looking for you to have your degree. We're looking for your soft skills. We're looking for you to be able to learn. And so they've launched, a way to say, hey, come here and get some of this money in pre-sales, right? So that, yeah, the tech sales all the way around is always good.
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, if you got the gift of gab, you have the ability to influence and persuade, and you have the soft skills, the ability to work a room, to build relationships and things of that nature, and you have sales experience or aspire to be in sales, I definitely would encourage it. The sales guys that I know did make a lot of money, like 250 plus, up there. I'm talking because they get a percentage of what the company buys in terms of whatever vendor or supplier that you're working for. I know for being a network engineer, if a company bought, over $1 million worth of equipment, the account executive would get a percentage of that. And, he drove nicer cars than we did, and we were the engineers. He lived in a better house in a better neighborhood, and you would say to yourself, well, why didn't you go and do sales? Because tech people are different from sales. The money is not enough. You know what I mean? Because we wouldn't have the wherewithal to keep that smile on our face,
Mhm.
because we're usually busy crunching information or knowledge and just solving technology problems, and that's a best fit for us. So we just seek to max out at that. But back to sales, definitely go do it. If the money excites you and you got the skills, go make the money.
Mhm. I agree.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, we have women in Linux. Thank you. I just came in and wow, that's fantastic. I always like tech, but I thought you had to be in school for many years. I'm so happy to be on this live today. Y'all don't let that fool you. These old
No,
myths. I keep trying to bust them.
I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. Unless you're the only thing I could possibly say that probably the two biggest things that I could see you being in school for, if you're doing like a PhD in AI and machine learning. You're building bridges for electrical engineering or mechanical engineering, along those lines. Maybe you need you're going down the hardware route. You would need, but once you get computer engineering or computer science, or maybe you go 2 years at a community college and you learn. And I tell people all the time, if you're gonna go to a community college, go take some programming classes at a community college. Way cheaper than you going to a 4 year college. And then level up on some cloud technology while you're at the community college, because every community college has a partnership with CompTIA. For whatever reason, CompTIA got the market on lock.
They
But
salesperson called.
because it has a market on lot. So you can get a Linux Plus, a Plus, or a Network Plus. I recommend get a Linux Plus and a Cloud Plus cert. You can study to get the Security Plus cert if you want to, but that gets you at least in the door and having a conversation. Take some programming classes, learn Bash, learn Python, Um, if you're feeling fancy and free, go and Rust if you're going down the AI ML route. But again, when we're talking about these, where it takes time, and you got to invest in yourself, and you got to invest in the time to do it.
Listen, we're gonna talk about how much some of these tests cost because the other day some people made me upset, so I had to have a moment. But first, No Limit 3 says, "Hey Chris, what do you think about CCNA certification?"
What I think about it, I made my whole living off that. Network
Mm.
engineering. I made so much money off of network engineering, and it didn't matter what situation, what climate the economy was in. So when you ask me about CCNA paid the bills for me. It gave me a really very good lifestyle, and and when I was talking about CCNA, if you want to tie that to sales, if you have a CCNA, you can tie it to sales, and you can be a sales engineer to be able to assist formulating some of these designs, and to sell that. I mean, you don't have to worry about knowing everything. Just if you beefed up on sales skills, because you can lean upon a technical salesperson who's going to be in the meeting with you and working alongside you. But CCNA, you can blend that with project management, and you can basically manage network engineering projects, or you can use a CCNA and start yourself off in help desk, or you can use a CCNA and level up your career, with CCNA, and move to CCNP, and perhaps even CCIE, and you can be a high level engineer. So with CCNA, it's a very good starting point. It gives you the network fundamentals that you need to be able to thrive as a networking resource. And then, as Tamika was alluding to with cloud and AWS, all those, all the components that you would use with CCNA, routers, switches, load balancers, firewalls, all that stuff is virtualized. So you need to add cloud computing to that, and then you'd be able to configure all those devices in the cloud as well. So CCNA, it opens up a door, a whole door of opportunity. And once you get in there, you'll be able to, like Tamika was referring to, as far as analyzing the industry and where it's going, and then you can get in where you fit in from that point to follow the traction.
Yep, I got started with my CCNA. I started out with doing Cisco networking, and then my lab partner showed me that it was the just like the command line in Linux, and that's how I got started in Linux. Didn't even know the two didn't even relate to each other at the time, and I just been there ever since, learning how to configure firewalls, routers, VLANs, quality QoS, how to set up cameras, IoT devices. That you can see the list goes on when we're talking about just the networking piece. And then you got to remember too, when we're talking about from a network perspective, is how fast and how fast do you want those packets to transfer, right? This video stream, right? It's some networking in there. Networking is never going anywhere. DNS is never going anywhere, right? Again, they may evolve, well, because I hear about Web3, but again, we're talking about
Come on,
networking.
the metaverse.
Well, Web3, we'll talk about it, but but
I'm like, don't bring up the metaverse.
but again, I'm just getting to the point of when we're talking about, for me, when I'm talking about fundamentals,
Hmm.
DNS, networking, Linux, understanding operating systems are just fundamentals that you need to understand, that you take with you throughout your entire career, right? And then you add on little specialties like, oh, what is the Google Cloud or a Azure Cloud? Oh,
Hmm.
it's some machines under that are networked together, that has an operating system on it and some type of virtualization built on top of that. And guess what? And just like we interviewed Kelsey Hightower, people know Linux so well they built it up to sell it back to you, right? That's basically what they did. They're selling it back to you. So again, uh, I think Cisco is a good foundation to get started, as well too. But you need to combine that.
Right. So Black Tech Old Head said CCNA is a great cert. It definitely provides you the core skills to build a great foundation in tech. It was my first cert over 20 years ago, and I still use it, these fundamentals today. Now listen, he was getting this cert when Drop It Like It's Hot was out. Okay. He was getting the cert when what's his name? I forgot the name of
The
the
Ja
rapper.
Rule,
No, no, not Ja Rule. What's the rapper from New Orleans with the teeth, the gold teeth?
uh, yeah,
Listen
I
in the
know you're
No,
chat.
no,
not.
you talking about
I
No
know you're
Limit
not talking about.
Records?
No
I know
Master
you're
limit.
P?
not
Not
Master
Master
P.
P.
Yet.
It's the guy who wrote the song. Come on now. Y'all know what I'm
Oh,
talking about.
is it not mystical, right?
Shake that thing. Something,
Oh
right?
yeah,
And
watch
Yeah.
yourself.
it's like a
Show 'em what you're working with.
1990s anthem of sorts. Gen X anthem for all things fun.
Amen. Amen.
Um,
Then set it off. Okay, we set
listen,
it
I was
off.
in middle school, like, yeah.
Juvenile. Somebody was like juvenile.
Juvenile, there you go. What would you suggest if individuals are interested in partnering Devos with equity on SS products? How would both parties connect? Now, my world ecom, you need to cash out because that's a whole nother level conversation. Go ahead, one of y'all hit that up.
All right. What would you suggest for individuals that are interested in partnering devs with equity on SaaS products? I'm not sure what you mean with equity on SaaS products. Are you looking at a SaaS company and maybe they want to partner with a SaaS company that's about to go public or something for equity? I'm not sure on that question.
Yeah,
And when
extend the
I
question.
yeah, when I look at it from my perspective, my confusion is also, is this when you say devs, I'm thinking maybe software using APIs to connect to some product on the back end. So yeah, this is a question that yeah, this is a more detailed question, and I don't even know what your purpose is behind it. So I would like
No
to know
worries.
your purpose and what your intentions are with this setup.
Okay, everybody, the social media group you can go join is Women in Linux Slack group.
Select group.
Hakeem Bello Studios. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Can you tell us what skills are in demand right now? Every skill, all of them. But go ahead, y'all take that.
uh, I'll give you a quick 10. Linux, most definitely cybersecurity from the perspective of cloud security, DevSecOps, understanding how to secure the blockchain as well too, uh, understanding uh, networking, Kubernetes. When we're talking about Kubernetes, that goes along the lines of OpenShift. Uh, if you want to keep going down that route, we can get into edge computing. But the latest and greatest was coming out for the IC is understanding edge computing and IoT devices, and in that term, that's still underneath that is Linux. So that's embedded Linux and firmware. Again, we have a chip shortage. So you think that the companies are going to sit by and not create?
Tesla didn't.
Yep,
Tesla done
that's
made
it.
something mess up. They done made something up.
Apple didn't either. So it's going to continue. You're going to see that wave continue, and you're going to start to see a big push for hardware and embedded and IoT device. Just anything. I was looking at Harvard today. Harvard has I think it's called a tiny. What's it called? I think they call it something like a tiny computer certificate you can get or something like that. I was looking at that today, but people are just starting to branch off and create more classes around IoT devices, and that's going to be super huge. No code, low code, that's huge. Robotics, huge. $8 billion into robotics in 2021. 8 billion.
Hmm.
So those are my takes. Those are my hot takes.
What you thinking, Chris? What you thinking?
I'm thinking anything dealing with automation. Tamika already mentioned the cars. I evaluated in that particular industry for a client this week. So I would say anything dealing with automation. It's a multidisciplinary field which requires training in, let's say, engineering, mechanical engineering, software engineering. It's multidisciplinary. So for someone to get into automation, especially in dealing with automated cars, they're going to have to approach that with the idea that they're going to have some very strong core skills in multiple disciplines. And I would say financial technology, and then I would also say biotechnology. Those are the three major ones that I would encourage anyone to check out.
All right, you guys, listen. Everything. like literally
Yeah,
everything.
it was a
Hold on, let me
company.
see.
I just looked at this weekend. What they're doing. They started out, each ride was $250,000, but now it's
Hmm.
$125,000. But what they do is they just go up to the stratosphere on an air balloon so you can take pictures. It's a 2 hour flight. They're backed
Hmm.
off in Cape Canaveral, and they started off at 250,000 for each ride, but now it's 125,000 for each ride, and they're already booked up 500 rides already, right? And
Hmm.
they're looking for hardware engineers, they're looking for mechanical engineers, they'll be looking for someone to probably introduce satellites to them because they'll probably launch and do satellites so they can see what's going on up there before they do their launch, right? So, and they already got a Series A for 40 million. So that's a startup that just start now, right?
Now y'all know y'all want me to rant when y'all put the metaverse in the daggone chat. Now I told y'all what the metaverse is for. It's for them dudes who are trying to escape reality, okay? It's for the people who want to be unicorns and for real, okay? Now, yes, they hiring 10,000 people, but don't go into the metaverse. Come back to reality. Go out your house, okay? Go to Costco. Anyway, get a job in tech and learn to invest. Tech Tuesday here again. Yes, yes, yes. Anyone a cloud architect or engineer? Either one of you two?
I'm working towards cloud
Mhm.
architect. Yeah. I mean, it depends on what you want to do with it, right? But do you want to be a cloud architect and start designing systems and cybersecurity and understanding how to migrate or stand up a cloud for a startup or something like that? Yeah, but it all still there's still a path to be. You just don't become a cloud architect. There's still a path to go in
Yes.
order
Please,
to be
please
a
explain
cloud.
it to these people.
Right, it's still a path that you
You
got
don't
to
wake up tomorrow and be like, let me take a cert on that.
right, unless you've been doing it forever, right? You've been working with the cloud forever. You're just going, but there's still a path. You still have to have some knowledge, right? So, uh, there's Google Cloud Architect, there's Azure Cloud Architect, there's GCP, Oracle. They all have architects behind their names, but it depends on what you want to do with it and where you're going to go.
Mindful J said, do y'all consider data analyst tech? Chris, is that tech?
Yeah, that's tech. I mean,
Okay, my bad, my bad.
you're dealing with data. The data is going to be on a server. The server has to distribute that data to the network devices, and some of this data or equipment or configuration or designs will be in the cloud. So you're in data. You're in. That's tech. You're a techie.
Okay. Somebody said businesses use Microsoft 360, and somebody said no, Office 360. Okay, in the chat. Okay, calm it down. Let me see. Oh, there's so many comments. Uh, look, y'all so silly. I can't with y'all. Okay, I'm doing my best to get out of help desk. Y'all, what is his recommendations to get out of help desk? Help him.
Uh,
What's the recommendations?
get a certificate in the cloud and go apply.
Chris, what's your recommendation for him to get out of help desk?
Get a plan. Uh, that's that. That's what I provide. I help you pretty much work through your thoughts in terms of
Hmm.
what you want because until you express them or articulate them out loud, especially as someone who's experienced in IT who could take your thoughts, your enthusiasm, and some of that and just, basically channel all that energy and direct it towards a purposeful end goal. And so I would say, give me a coaching call and I'll be able to help you out with that.
Could
Or
you stop changing your website, Chris? Every 2 minutes I go on there. You have updated again. Listen,
I
tech
was forced
people,
to.
stop it. Calm down. It doesn't have to be new every week. Stop it. Go on here in this website that has changed again and grab a coaching with him. Look at you. Just all this extra stuff you keep doing. Anybody ask for all this new stuff? New stuff, new stuff, new stuff. All right, coaching call set session, free sample. Look at that. Y'all blow Chris up in here. Blow him up so he can stop changing his website every week. Okay. I'm yep. She said she's studying for a certificate in Linux. It is a good start. Y'all stop playing with me. Uh Go Filthy Frank. I used to work in Geek Squad. Okay, well here, Filthy Frank said this could help him move from help desk to get your government clearance. Okay. I feel you. I feel you. Okay, okay. This person said, "What tech experience should college students look out for while taking classes in their major? My personal major is management information systems."
No, on that, I lean towards for management and information systems. I mean, there's a couple of rabbit holes you can jump down from product management to project management to Scrum Master when we're talking about that. Unless you want to be more hands on the keyboard, then you'll probably have to get some type of Google cert or AWS or something like that if you want to get hands on keyboard. But if you're managing projects and so forth, yeah, project management, Scrum Master, product management, it's what comes to mind when I look at that.
Okay, got you. Chris?
I would say when I look at a management and information systems, Tamika hinted on it. I'm just going to hit the nail right on the head. That's a non-technical major, regardless of whatever technical courses that you're taking in the IT industry. We're not going to look at you as having hardcore technical skills. So you got to determine in your position what path that you want to take, what career path you want to take, because being in management information systems, it sort of looks like non-technical. So you'd need to add something like Tamika was saying, like a project management, Scrum Master, something where you can bring legitimacy and credibility to the management information systems, whether those be soft skills or whether they're hard skills, whether you start adding software skills to it, to that, like learning a computer language or something like that. But when I look at the management information systems, I look at it as a degree that helps a non-technical person gain a leadership position on a leadership path, whether they want to be a IT manager, whether they want to be a director, or whether they want to be a vice president or a president of a small company, and then build their career up from that point. But I would say management information systems, you would have to determine whether you want to be technical or you want to be non-technical. In this case, you're talking about tech experience. I would say get yourself some hardcore tech skills that pertain to something that you're passionate about. Be serious about it and focus on it, hone in on it. And like Tamika was saying, add some general skills to that and then start leveling up your career.
Yep.
Level up, level up. You are not too late for Afrotech. Afrotech is actually November 4th and 5th in Austin, Texas, and no, 5th and 6th, and then the rest of the week it is in Los Angeles. Squid Games. Yep, yep, yep. Oh my goodness. The up leveled professional says, I'm a technical recruiter. Tech sales is huge in the industry.
Yep.
Okay. Somebody said, been watching it for a few months and finally found my point of entry with tech writing. Sign up for Comores quiz today. Thanks for the push. Congratulations. Listen, my job when y'all watch this show is for y'all to take action and don't be talking about next year in March. Oh, everything's so expensive. It's so expensive. Thank you for all. Yep. You and a self-care routine and for helping me level up my life. Listen, self-care is the best care, baby. The best. Beautiful black hair, black businesses love the channel. Oh, thank you. Chris' hair looks amazing tonight. It is glowing. What you doing? Chris is like, shut up.
Shea
Thank
butter.
you for Shea moisturizer. YouTube recommended me this live stream, and I see you, Tam. Hi, Tam.
Hello, how you doing?
The worst thing I could have ever done was let my Security Plus lapse. Oh, that's why you stuck at help desk. Listen, man, you need to call Chris and get that plan. Get out of help desk.
Yeah, you gotta keep up your. That's the other thing too. So you go out and get all these certifications, right? You have to maintain those certifications.
Dang.
So, of course, everybody's all about their money. With CompTIA, you got to pay like $150 or something like that for to maintain the Security Plus, and then you have to take classes to maintain that for the next 3 years as well too. So it's not like you just get the certification and it's with you forever. Those certifications die, so you have to continue to level up or get the next one up in order to maintain that.
I would disagree when she said certifications die. My MCSE from 1999 is thriving. There's no jobs for them, but it's still alive.
Thriving.
Ain't nobody hiring me.
When I say they die, like you can't go back in. Somebody can't look you up and say, yeah, he got his MSc. They were like,
I'll just being silly. Yeah, so what she's saying, she's making a very good point. Okay, so when I developed the fast track to IT, when you look at it, if you don't understand technology, you'll think, okay, I get my certification, I'm set for life.
Hmm.
But it's not true. If you don't have a budget to reskill yourself, if you don't have a method to self learn, basically a method to learn how to learn, then technology is going to move so fast, and if you don't have a plan to get those skills back in order. Now I'm talking about, look, you're going to get the cert, you go get that job. If you're not focusing on that skills, you're just taking in the money and enjoying the barbecues and all the stuff that you do, and just enjoying the money and the lifestyle that it comes with, then guess what, your skills are going to go away. And well, let's say you keep your skills, but your cert goes away, where the cert is an entry barrier. So you won't be able to even get in the room to get an interview, because you'll say, oh, I have 20 years of experience. Yeah, but we require a CCNA so they know that your skills are up to date. So I would say keep that in mind, that when you get a certification, you're going to have to maintain that, which is why I stuck with CCNA and a
Hmm.
CCNP my whole career. I didn't venture out. Well, I did MCSC, but I didn't re-up the certification. I just re-upped my knowledge when I went to boot camps.
Hmm.
But I would say stick to something that you can continue recertifying with, something that's not going to cause you to have no life, because you're going to have to be studying at work to solve problems. You're going to have to study to recertify. Just balance your life and balance what you're doing professionally.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I see one in the comments saying you don't need a cert to get a coding job. You don't need a cert to get any of the jobs. You just need to be able to uh you need to be able
Let's
to talk the talk.
let's be honest. You guys are some of y'all are watching this and you're coming from no, I'm not gonna be disrespectful, but no bachelor degree, no college degree, no associate's degree, just a high school degree, and you've been out there in the world doing whatever for the past 10, 12 years. You need a little bit of something, right? You want to get your
Hmm.
foot in the door and you want to act like you actually made the initiative to train yourself. So I get it. It's nice that you're saying you don't need a cert for coding, but let's keep it a buck. If Dr. Dix was here, he'd be like, "Get your education on," right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't think because you can kind of you watch enough YouTube videos that you're gonna go in there and talk your way into a job. You're gonna need something, right? Because they're gonna say, okay, you've been working at a hotel and at a restaurant the past 12 years. What makes you think you're gonna get a job in tech? I mean, like, let's not be overly out of the pocket with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
you gotta
anything's
have
possible.
side projects, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I did side projects. I actually stood up a whole network. I had my Cisco routers. I had my 1950s, my 2901s. I had my DCE, DTE cables. I had 10 computers on my network, and I learned how to do my routing. Oh, I'm gonna do RIP routing on this one. I'm gonna do BGP on this one. I'm gonna do OSPF on this one, right? And I learned how to set up firewalls and how to block them. But I had the wherewithal to one understand how to troubleshoot my problem. So inside my network, I would set it up as if I was going to set it up for school. But that taught me, like, okay, well, if I'm gonna be the end user, what would I like to see? But you learn that so you can have that conversation in the interview. You understand how to troubleshoot, you understand how to physically set things up, you understand what the problem may be and where to start. Learn the OSI model, 7 layers, learn it. Right, it's gonna be with you for the rest of your life if you're in tech, if you're doing the technical things. But again, understanding those things helps you out. So don't forget to lab. Like everybody say, lab every day. Don't be afraid to set up a lab, even if it's just on a Raspberry Pi. Even if you get 5 Raspberry Pis and set it up, it's easy.
Yeah, I agree with Tamika in that I thrived and survived. I would say survived in IT, basically creating sandboxes. It's basically virtual environments where I can just play with the technology, because I didn't have that budget to be able to go pay 15, $20,000 to get recertified. And technology training had become so expensive for my CCNP. Literally, I I mapped it out for how much it would cost me to get it nearby in my city and locally. And literally, it was cheaper for me to fly to Spain and get trained for 2 weeks. So I ended up doing that. But before I even did that, I had to build up the skill sets for the CCNP. And I did that just virtually. I just created virtual routers and virtual switches and firewalls, and I played with that. But then when you get all those skills, when you go into an interview, they're going to ask you basic questions about the technology, depending on what level you're at. But in these questions, if you're able to answer these basic questions, then they it gives them confidence. And that confidence and that ability to answer those questions comes in when you start granularly working with those details and troubleshooting. Why is the traffic flowing this way? I'm speaking from a networking engineering perspective, but why isn't the traffic flowing from this way? Is there a port that's shut off? Does it have the wrong VLAN? Did it just lock, and
Hmm.
things of that nature? When they ask you those detailed questions in the interview, you'll be able to explain it. Well, I would say these are the three things that I would initially troubleshoot. I'd also want to figure out what impact it was having on the environment, if there's any other company losing money, things of that nature. When you start talking like that in interviews, you sound like you already work there, and they're
Hmm.
because you have their best interest in mind, and you're going to be a very good candidate.
I'm assuming you use GNS 3 for your virtual lab.
Yes.
Yep, yep, yep. But yeah, be the solution when you walk in the door. That's why I always tell everybody in my group. I say it now. You have to understand that you have to understand that the resume, not the resume, but the actual job description they put out there is a problem. So how do you plan on solving the problem that they presented to you? Be the solution. If it's something on there that you don't know, go figure it out. Go install it. Go read up on it. Go do some research on it. You know, buy another computer and break it, right? Install the software, play with it, sign up for a trial license. What's the worst that can happen, right? So just be mindful of that when you're trying to elevate yourself. You invest in yourself.
So, as an example, I spent $2,500 to teach myself load balancers within 2 days before I had a project. Now, you would say, why in the world would you spend $2,500 for that? Because it allowed me to keep my job and keep credibility, and I was able to get a lot of more opportunities out of that. And I was under a time constraint, and I stayed up literally for the whole weekend.
Hmm.
And I learned it, but I mastered it. And then once I had it, I was able to ask people questions who were already experienced with it at my job. And then I got assistance from senior engineering professionals who were charitable enough to answer some of my questions. And then once I started hitting the road, I was driving. I was good.
You know, you got this question on here. What do you guys think about being an IT recruiter?
Hmm.
That's fine. It depends on what industry are you recruiting for, right? Because you could be an IT recruiter for that strictly work with data science people, that strictly work with AI people, that strictly work with machine learning people, that strictly work with hardware. Depends on what you want to be an IT recruiter for. That's how I look at that. And also, just a FYI, there was actually an article that came out probably about a month ago. They were saying that the IT recruiter was a dying field. I don't see that just yet, but in the future, that's what they're saying. So I just put that out there. I'll send
Why
Erica
is it Dineville?
because they're basing it off of really. There's a startup out there right now that's actually building uh for people to come on and showcase their skills by solving problems and then shooting based upon the problems that they solve, then shoots the resume over to the companies that are on the
Hmm.
platform. So now it's like, okay, people are paying a cost to be on the platform versus I call you up, you go to sit through some interviews and do a technical challenge, maybe not, and then the recruiter gets that eliminates the recruiter, right?
Hmm.
So that's the word on the curve. That's
I
not my word.
listen.
That's just the word on the curve.
There's always gonna be room. You know why? Because just like when we talk about credit repair and you can fix your own credit, people don't do it themselves.
Yep.
Just like this, people gonna be like, how to get online, how to send it over, where to send it to.
Mm,
Can y'all answer this, Chris? You see this question? Read it. Read it to us, please, Chris.
How long does it take to get an entry level position in either software engineering or cybersecurity? Uh, that is a noble goal. Okay, first of all, And in terms of how long does it take, how much time do you have? Like I have 3 children, so that question
You
can be
got three
answered in
children?
totally
No.
different, totally different
I
ways.
thought you had two. No, I'm messing with you.
I
I'm
got to go
giving
to
you a hard
Korea
time.
and check. Yeah, I got to go back to Korea. But anyway, but what I'm saying is, it depends on your situation. If you don't have a lot of time, then it may take you longer. But if you have a lot of time, or if you're somebody that just graduated from college and you're like, okay, I'm going to stay at my mom's basement for 6 months, and I'm going to crank out a cybersecurity certification. But if you got responsibilities like rearing children that I do, then time is scarce, or it's going to be more challenging, or it's going to be a greater constraint. So I would
Hmm.
say, in your situation, how long will it take? I don't know. How much time can you put in? How much energy do you put in it? What's your ambition level? Do you really want it? Are you somebody that just, jumps on and says, "Hey, I want to be in IT. Oh, I also want to do real estate. And I heard,
I want
this
to do
other
credit
thing was cool.
repair.
Yeah, you see, all this other thing was good." So if you're moving around like a feather, then I don't know how long is it going to take. What are you doing it for? When I talk about IT, I want people to be passionate about it, because it's such a large investment of your time, that it has
Hmm.
to be something that you're very serious about, or at least something that you're saying, okay, I'm going to do this, and for 5 years, I'm going to get this much money, and then I'm going to move on to something else. But at least you have a plan for how you're going to use IT,
Hmm.
instead of just kind of like, because IT is not something where you're like, it's not AM PM where you just working in a gas station and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do that for a little while. No, IT, you're gonna be sitting down studying books, getting certifications and all that stuff. After you invest all that time, you want to be able to utilize it. You want to be able to capitalize off of it. You don't want to have those skills just die after you invested a year and a half. So it's
Yeah.
the ball is in your park.
Yeah, and so I look at that when I see software engineer or cybersecurity. Really, the happy medium between the two is site reliability engineer. You can go check out the roadmap.sh, and it talks about that. But basically, if you don't have any programming skills, your best bet is probably going to be to start with Bash, Python, Go. Really, probably more Go than anything, and then understanding troubleshooting and understanding Linux as your foundation. So those are the three main things. And the marriage between software engineering and cybersecurity would be a site reliability engineer. And everybody is looking for a site reliability engineer. You can go to site the SRECon. You can go to usenix.org, check out their website. They just had a conference. Major companies have a SRE from Bloomberg all the way down to Google, and it started at Google. So that would be my marriage between the two. And I think you got some more questions too in the
I
chat.
am. I'm going. I'm going. Okay, Eric, I get it. Tech sales. Listen, check out next week's Black Hawks Heights. Hold on, let me see. There's some more. Thank you for the super chat, Joe. Look, everybody was like juvenile, juvenile, juvenile. Yes, juvenile. Mystical. Shake it fast. No, not shake it fast. Um, John, like that really narrows it down. Thank you, John. Backs that thing up. That's who it was. That guy.
Facts.
Wow, y'all are mad young. I am because I see them. I'm like, who granddaddy out there backing that thing up? Okay. Currently learning MySQL. What is the current status of database development?
I don't know when you
That's a loaded question.
yes, because again, we're talking now. You're really getting into, to me, when I hear that, I hear data science. When I hear that, right? When I'm thinking about MySQL, doing queries. I mean, that's what I will be lending towards. Then also, most, well, not all apps, but most apps are backed by some type of database, right? So again, I wouldn't be just looking at MySQL either. You could be looking at something like Kafka, or not Hadoop, but Kafka on that end. So it depends on where you're trying to go with MySQL. What are you actually trying to do?
Also, is Python still worth learning?
Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
where you trying to go with
he
Python,
trying to get
right?
out of that help desk. He like anything. Is anything worth
Yeah, I mean,
study it?
depends on where you're trying to go with it, right? You can do write Python scripts, right? People do it all day, every day for web scraping. Somebody may use it in the data science field. Somebody may be doing it just to stand up some infrastructure. I mean, it depends on what you're trying to where you're trying to go with it, what you're trying to do with that.
I'd like to thank Skyfall for his $5 super chat. Somebody said my Mai Tai's kicking in. Hush your face. I have to go lay down. I'm like going down over here. Um, thank you. Yes, the price for digital real estate course is going up tomorrow. It is Wednesday tomorrow. I don't want to hear it. It'll be 350 tomorrow. We don't want to hear no sob stories. It's been 100 for 2 weeks plus. I don't want to hear it. People literally took the class, y'all, and they were like, "When we got to pay our next 100?" I'm like, "That's all the course." They're like, "For real?" I said, "For real? I'm giving it away almost for free now. It's 350 tomorrow." Thank you guys so much for the advice. Oh, we're going on an hour, y'all. We got to wrap this up. Oh gosh. Man. Dang, I love learning technical. Okay. Where can creative people get Oh, you need to book a call with Chris. But go ahead. Chris, answer this. Where can creative people start in terms of tech and entrepreneurship?
Creative people, I'm looking more in terms of just off the top of my head, creative people going into graphics design, doing something that allows them to be technical, but at the same time, not allow their creativity to be arrested in the minutia of technology. And in terms of entrepreneurship, I would say what Tamika and I are advocating is being a thorough professional, because what happens is as you grow in your career, if you actually did not skip any levels or steps, when you get to a point where you want to be entrepreneurial, then you're going to have that ability to be entrepreneurial. You're going to understand what the industries are doing. You're going to understand the different types of professions, what it takes to get in them,
Mhm.
how to adjust, and how to navigate the IT industry. And you can position a company to be able to be in that position of demand. How can you do that? The same way you've been positioning yourself to be in the pathway of success. You just get a corporation, a product or a service, and you position it there, and it allow you to scale up and to make more money. So I don't want to limit it just to Adobe or any graphics design, but I would say in terms of being creative, I that's what I can just drop on you right now. But if you want additional information, I would have to do some type of research for you.
And I would look at gaming, um, as in
Yes.
terms of create as far as the creative mind goes. Even Roblox. You can even start also looking at. There was an article that came out today that what's his Miguel is creating his next album using AI, uh,
Oh.
with music and AI, right? So when we're looking at this, is you're pulling from data from some main source, right? So when
Mhm.
we're talking about that, you can start looking at what does that look like for NFTs with your creative art or what have you. Just throwing things out there, just look them up, see where companies are headed, what are they looking for, and so forth. So never know what's out there.
Also, do Salesforce admin mids get 100,000 a year?
I think they do off the rip after the certification. There's a certification for it.
Okay, so this is the last one. Mr. Nix, sorry I'm late. You know my tech behind had to stop in and salute the panel. Had a session with the coach getting better at Azure architecture.
Azure architecture.
Thank
Yep.
you so much. I appreciate you. You guys have so many things in here. Um, there's a lot of entry level stuff. Don't get confused. Don't get lost. Don't get sad. They've look. Tamika has women in Linux. Again, Chris, break it down where they can find you, and then Miss Tamika.
JumpstartITacademy.com is where you can find the content that I developed. It's basically an online mentoring program with a coaching component added to it. And also, there's some books there as well. And you can find me on Jumpstart IT Academy on YouTube or at Jumpstart IT Academy on Instagram.
Yep. And for me, you can catch us on YouTube Live on at Women in Linux. You can find us at Women in Linux Everything. If you hit womeninlinux.org, you can then sign up for our Slack where I'm posting stuff every single day. I'm sure Ericka gets notifications when I'm
Yeah,
posting.
y'all be worried. Yeah, I'd be like, oh, what is this? I'm in so many Slacks, y'all. It's like, and people be thinking I'm disrespecting them. I'm like, baby, if you see how many Slacks are in my phone, you know it's
Yeah,
not personal.
yeah, I
It's not
probably
even
got like
personal.
I got 50 Slacks that I'm a part of.
They be
So
like, why don't you respond fast? I'd be like, baby, my accountant is in Slack. Do you know me? You know much points they get on my nerves every day? Thank you, Mark A. Mark A in here just throwing all kind of letters and alphabet soup. I hear y'all. Hear y'all. Look, he said fly to India and get the certifications cheaper. Y'all wow up in here. Okay, look. Reach out to these two people. They got all the answers. Again, thank you guys for coming on my Tech Tuesdays. I started Tech Tuesdays with the hope that many of you would not just sit on the sidelines and complain about inflation and complain about high cost jobs, but realize if they try to lock you down again, that you can go work anywhere. So, yes, is it possible in the next 60 days for you to get a tech job? It is. And don't ever doubt it. So, thank you guys for being here. This is your girl, Ericka, from the Classy Climb blog. Two my ties in, about to lay down. And if you're part of any Tuesday night classes, they are canceled. I can promise you. Okay. Thank you, Chris, for being here. Thank you, Miss Women in Linux, for being here. You guys have a wonderful evening. Love
all
it.
right, now y'all take
Salute.
care.
New York is freezing, y'all. Send me money for a sweater. All right. Bye.